Good day, everybody. How are we doing? Welcome to another edition of Chat, Chat, Chat. I'm your host, Darth Cyrus, and welcome to our little chit chat reviews, etc., announcements, whatever. Ask me anything all the time, every time on the live stream at A Sith Lord Plays This at twitchtv.com/A Sith Lord Plays This. I'll get it right one of these days. Doesn't matter. Point is, we're doing some chatting today. We got several topics to go over. Let's see, like we can just discuss the Bad Batch, Mandalorian's going on right now too. What else? The college basketball tournament that is live right now. And then there's Star Wars Episode 4 New Hope is going to be the last thing we talk about, as well as some other announcements. So, we'll get started saying that this episode is sponsored by me. This channel is basically me funding it all myself, either through my primary job where I work at, or just other random things that, yeah, basically, basically my primary job funds this thing. So this is just a secondary little thing to do, web blog, whatever. We did change the layout of the microphone setup to be a little bit more friendlier to user friendly for me anyways. So we moved it over to, obviously, to the right over here. It's on the, well, this side of the screen instead of being on the other side of the screen. So now we can do a little bit more talking. uh I think a little bit better this way, for controls. And also, I forgot to point out, but you can always join in the chat. Whatever you say will appear right over there. So when you're talking in the chat room, it'll appear on side. I will read your comments as soon as I can. I answer any questions that you have as much as possible. Just make sure to keep it civil as much as possible. And that's only during the live stream. Obviously, during the YouTube re-upload, that if you're watching it there, you're just probably just not going to see much of anything. So you can also leave comments though down below in the YouTube channel. So links in the description for other things to my other websites, as well as the Twitch live stream channel. So let's get started in it. Let's see what we're talking about. So we can get started on talking about the current Bad Batch. And if you haven't seen any of the recent episodes of the Bad Batch, which I have not seen, well, not all the recent episodes, but I've seen a good chunk of them. The episode, I believe, I can't remember what it's called, the Bad Batch. Let me look it up real quick. It was they were it was a definitely a crosshair episode. And yeah, it was what was it called? Let me look for the episode here. Season 2, episode number The Outpost. That episode. Oh boy, if you haven't seen the Outpost episode, it is probably regarded as one of the best episodes actually so far of the season, according to the user reviews in the IMDb. There is exactly 2 more episodes left in the season. That's it. So we can just switch it over to the what I'm looking at right now. We'll just switch over the chat with the screen here, and this is the episode right here. The Outpost. This one is considered probably the best episode so far in the Bad Batch. It ranks up there actually with Truth and Consequences, which was the finale of the Clone Conspiracy. So yeah, it's definitely one of the better episodes in the series, The Outpost. It's all about Crosshair, and it is very very heavy on character development. And then you got episodes, the next one called Pabo, which was kind of a filler episode, but you get a lot of those in these um in these episodes of the Clone Wars, or the Bad Batch, so to speak. So there's some that are great that stick out a lot more than the other ones. Anything I guess involves Crosshair is going to be a little bit more interesting, and definitely a little bit more stand up ish. Um, so if you were going to watch in the Bad Batch, the second season, it does pick up, and it's a lot better than the first season. First season started off fairly well, but then people just started kind of going, well, I guess it's not bad. I guess Infested is the worst episode of the season. That makes sense. Um, which is the episode where they go underground and, try to get the stuff back, and it falls into the underground. There's these bug things, and it was kind of a filler episode, really. not one of the better ones, but oh well. Anyways, that's it for that one. But yeah, there's that one's going on right now. So there's two more episodes left. So 2 more weeks left, or I think it might be just one more week. I don't know. Um, and then that'll be it for that show. So now we're gonna move on to the Mandalorian, which just pause this thing right here now. And they're already into season 3, and I've only seen episodes 1, 2, and 3. I've not seen chapter 4 yet, which I hear is for spoiler alerts. If you don't want to hear it, mute your screen for now. But Ahmad Best appears as a Jedi Knight in this episode, and apparently everybody's all thrilled and excited. And I have not seen this episode yet, but I can't wait to see it. Apparently, it is not as good as the chapter 2, I guess, which is the Mines of Mandalore. And obviously, people didn't care too much for episode 19, chapter 19, the convert, which I thought was actually kind of good because you get um, Dr. Pershing's little inside, or I like to call him Dr. Kenny Loggins, because he literally reminds me of a young Kenny Loggins with the glasses and the beard and the hair. And if you don't know who I'm talking about for Kenny Loggins, we'll just look it up real quick here. I'll show you what spell his name wrong. It's Kenny Loggins. See, look what I'm talking about. Dr. Pershing right there. If he had longer hair. So so that's what I see every time I see uh um Dr. Pershing on screen is a young Kenny Loggins, really. Only with a more dapper look to himself than he did when he was in his youth. But yeah, that every time I see Dr. Pershing, I think Kenny Loggins. And now you will not unsee that. So that's why I throw out there. I like that episode a lot more than the fans did, because people just can't stand when Star Wars goes off script and does filler episodes. Where if you ever read a book, there are times where you're not literally following the main character often. You're sometimes doing little side stories that might run a whole chapter, and that's what I get out of these shows, is they're like books. Every once in a while you'll go and try to understand another character, what they're thinking, what they're doing, how they're acting, how they're behaving, how they're doing things. And this was just a chance to see him, how he's adapting to the Republic. Now it feels like to me almost kind of like the Prisoner a little bit, in that he's trying to get acclimated into his surroundings, but at the same time he's struggling because he still wants to do good. But he got kind of, and spoilers for the episode, he kind of got tricked into doing something, and I really don't think that was fair on his part. But it's unfortunate that it happened, but it's also saying things like, well, she's kind of, she's very evil, in that I'm thinking she did this all just so that she could erase Dr. Pershing's mind enough that he can't remember anything that he's done for the Empire. She wants to literally just wipe it all clean so that because I'm assuming she's still working for the Empire, or at least starting the First Order. And that's what I'm getting at, is that the fact that this was just a setup just to get his mind erased so that he can't remember what he did with Grogu's blood, what the Emperor is doing right now when they're doing the cloning experience over in Exegol, etc. That's the whole point, is just to make sure she was implanted by the Imperials or by the First Order. I don't know if, I doubt the First Order, or maybe the First Order existed at that time. I don't know, but they're trying to cover up their tracks, because everybody thinks that at the end of Return of the Jedi, that's it, the Empire was done. And that's not the case. There are several books out that happened after the Empire, I believe. It's called Aftermath. There's like 3 parts to it, and there's stories about how the Empire didn't really fall. It just kind of became a little bit of a power vacuum, and then obviously the Moffs were trying to fight amongst themselves for control, and the Republic is coming out of it. And it's kind of like the fall of Rome, where at some point Rome was falling apart and everybody was trying to take the lead and rule for a while, and things fell apart even worse. And eventually, obviously, what was left was the Byzantine Empire, which could be considered the Republic, I guess, of in the Star Wars universe. So it's a similar thing when you destroy a great leadership, or not a great leadership, but a power as such as the Emperor, and it goes away, and then there's nothing left to it except for, some small generals or leaders or moffs or whatever, and they can only rule so much of the empire itself, and they have no control over the situation because each one of them has a power vacuum. There's assassinations, there's uprisings, there's civil wars, etc. Things fall apart real quickly when stuff like that happens. So the new republic came from the ashes of the empire, but still there was still sects and orders and groups that still were loyal to the emperor and obviously retreating into space. Now, whether or not that's the same with society or now, obviously there's through history there have been different organizations claiming to be the successor to the Roman Empire, which never really came to fruition. But the same could be said for the Sith Empire. It kind of fell apart after a while, after the Sith Empire was created in the old days from Korriban and the Fallen Jedi and the ancient Sith of that time, which I think Makaragnos and Naga Sadal and all those came to be. This is legends, not really canon stuff, but if we were to include legends in the canon, this is how it would be. They lost the Great Hyperspace War, got exiled to Droman Kos, stayed there for millennia until they came back. Um, Took over Korriban, which is what the um, Darth Malgus did that, and eventually invaded the Republic, conquered about a quarter of the galaxy. Then came the Galactic Cold War, and then eventually, at some point along the lines later, they broke apart because the Emperor finally passed, and eventually the Empire became. The Dark Council kind of took over, and then things just fell apart even more. And eventually, you got the rule of two there with I can't remember his name. What's up, man? Darth Bane, and they fell off. The Sith were never heard of, and then all of a sudden comes up Darth Plagueis and Emperor Palpatine, and then Palpatine, and then or Darth Sidious, or whatever you want to call him, and then eventually he comes control, and then we get to the modern era of the Phantom Menace, all the way up to the Rise of Skywalker. So and as far as the story goes from the Mandalorian, it's kind of filling that gap in between, Return of the Jedi as well as uh, beginning of the Force Awakens. So they're helping this whole the Mandalorian is basically kind of helping set it up. Now, whether or not they're going to expand on what is going on per se with Dr. Pershing and all these other characters will remain to be seen if they're going to be doing other shows. Obviously, the Book of Boba Fett really didn't do much to elaborate on that. Really, just kind of gave Boba Fett his own little show that really didn't stand out per se. I mean, for all the things that's really weird about the show, and I kind of chalked this up that all these shows that were filmed during the pandemic, they feel a little campy and a little stuffy, like Obi-Wan and obviously the Book of Boba Fett. They just felt really like they couldn't get out of whatever it is they wanted to do. It felt like they were just constrained in this way that the show just couldn't go beyond the characters or beyond the plot. They just had to kind of stick in the lane, not go too far because, well, we can't ruin the character or whatever. Which they kind of ruined the character in that way. So they weren't allowed to be creative and be free, so to speak. And that's what ultimately kind of hurt those shows really. So there's this whole constrained environment that they kind of created. So yeah, there's that. And anyway, speaking of Star Wars stuff, anyways, I like to show off what I got right now today. I decided to pick these up because we sold them at the place I work at. So the first one I show up, and I wanted this character not just for the most part. I'm beginning to grow to like this character, and yeah, it's I like the actress who plays her really, and so I got right now, if you can see that, maybe it's Bo Katan. So I got this little Bo-Katan action figure. Um, it's really blurry, I know. There it is. So we got Bo-Katan right there, and I'll eventually have to take her out of her box and put her up next to my other characters. And then also I picked up the most iconic generic person there is, the Star Wars Stormtrooper. So there's that. I used to have all these when I was a kid. Not Bo-Katan, obviously, because Bo-Katan was real. Because they'll be with my other characters, which I have already opened out. So I got the first one I have is my favorite Luke Skywalker outfit. I like the Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker outfit, the whole black and the green saber. That's my favorite outfit for Luke Skywalker. You can't really see the face too well because the lights too bright. Oh god, no! So I got Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. That is my favorite outfit. That's the one I can cosplay as because I have pretty much almost all the stuff to make it look like Luke Skywalker. Not quite, but close enough. And then obviously the best character in the whole Star Wars universe. It basically revolves around the trilogy is Lord Vader. That's right. I got a lot of Lord Vader stuff. I mean, if you didn't really watch the show beforehand, you saw my shirts, pretty much every single one of them is Darth Vader this, Darth Vader that. I mean, there is an occasional Ahsoka Tano shirt, but yeah, that's what I got on my desk right now is those outfits there and those actual little action figures. So that's what's the cool right now. So we're gonna go back to the chatting room screen because we're gonna go take a look at what's going on now in the universe besides Star Wars. We're gonna move on to the college basketball, and if I don't know about everybody else, but my brackets were busted quite early, like um, a few weeks ago, like last weekend once most of my teams I picked Kansas a few times to win, and Houston and Alabama. They all went down pretty hard tonight. I mean, you look at right now, Alabama just got knocked out, so that's the number one team that's gone. Houston got destroyed by Miami, so they're gone. And then obviously previous week, what was it? Looking. Kansas got beat barely by Arkansas, which is unfortunate. Makes me mad. And then the first round, you got what was it? Purdue getting destroyed by FDU, which is sad. A number 16 team just destroyed the first round team. So there you go in college basketball. Right now we're in the Sweet 16, moving on to Elite 8 starting tomorrow. And it looks like this game here is just basically starting the first half, and that's probably the last game of the. Nope, I guess Xavier and Texas are playing next, so there's that. I think I have Texas in one of my brackets. I have like 40 brackets, two on ESPN and two on CBS, and obviously my perfect brackets have already been busted horribly. The It's just it's been a hard NC or a hard tournament this year to picking the number one teams. I haven't had so many upsets and things just going out of control right now. Especially when you got all the number one teams are gone. They haven't made the Elite Eight. I can't remember the last time that's happened, but you know, whatever team you have this weekend, it's fine. Next weekend would probably be the championship tournament, and then after that, that's it. Just look at my calendar real quick here. Hang on. Let's see. Oh yeah, we probably won't have a. We may or may not have a chat the following week on the 7th because there's going to be a con in Madison, Wisconsin, which I live somewhere near there, so I might go see that one. Which is QuadCon. So their upcoming event is Madison, Wisconsin on April 8th and 9th. That is Easter weekend, which is a weird weekend to have a con, but there it is. Um, I was going to go originally to the one in Rochester, but I canceled for obviously reasons last week. Somebody had passed away in the family, so we had to, stop. We couldn't do that. But since they're in Madison on April 8th and 9th, I may or may not be able to go to that one. And then there won't be another one for a long time in my region. Uh, maybe in Dubuque, maybe. I don't know. That's only 1 day though, which is really weird. Usually you do 2 day events, but that's a 1 day event. So it looks like a $5 charge too, which is even more bizarre. It's usually free. Um, and that's all they got scheduled now for the that are in my area that I could actually go to. So maybe it'll be able to do that one. I don't know. It's just really weird that that's the weekend of Easter. So we'll see about that. I don't know about my new job. That may or may not be hired by then. I may or may not have the job by then. We don't know. Um, because we're right in the middle of the selection process, so to speak. But anyways, back to college basketball, and it looks like you know teams that I would never have picked to win are looking like they could win. I think I have Texas in one of my brackets. I don't know if I said that or not. They play later tonight, and I have them winning one, but I honestly don't know what to see, what to predict for some of these games because who knows? The number one, the rankings don't mean squat. It's like every playoff game in every sport. Just because you're ranked number one doesn't mean you're the best of the best. Any team could come in and just wipe you out of the game. It's crazy, I know, but that's just how it is. So, it, the, we don't know what we're to expect. Everything's to be determined. I guess Saturday, April 1st is the yeah, and then Saturday's the final four, and then obviously Monday. It's always a Monday, which is really really dumb. The championship game is on a Monday. It should be on a Sunday, something that people could watch. Because when you're having a game on a Monday evening, people are gonna. Some of us have to work at like 6 in the morning. Okay, I ain't got time to watch your basketball championship game at uh, 7 o'clock at night, and I'm gonna have to miss it because I have to go to bed. So then it doesn't really matter because none of these players and teams I actually care for. So it's just I don't know. But it's always fun because it gets you. The reason why I like this kind of stuff because it gets me closer to spring, and spring is one of the times of year that things get a little bit better. You get out of the winter funk, so to speak, and it's just it gets to that point where winter is just taking too much. I mean, you can only stand the cold and snow for so much for so long. But anyways, we'll move on to the review here in a little bit. But I like to talk about Dragonflight in my opinion so far, and I gotta say I'm not really too much of a fan of the Dragonflight expansion. It's it's okay in terms of story. I'm not really compelled about any of these characters. I guess maybe I didn't get into the lore as much as everybody else does, but I really couldn't care less about demigods running around trying to rebuild their life as an enemy. It looms in the distance, trying to wreck everything because they're angry that they've been in prison for thousands of years. Yada yada yada. It's the same story over and over again. It's like, do I even care anymore about these characters, what they do? Why are we doing this? I mean, everything that World of Warcraft does gets swept away by another, the next flavor of the month, the bad person. And it's about as bad as with Diablo 4. So let's bring Diablo back. We can't seem to kill Diablo off. In the first game, he possesses the hero of the game. In the second game, you basically just destroy his soul stone or whatever, and then in the third game, oh, it's in the World Stone, and he's back again. Oh no! And it was actually the girl, and she's Diablo incarnate because of the witch and blood magic, and yada yada yada, and which really sucks because I really like that character. It was disappointing they got rid of her. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but you know, and then oh no, she's dead. Oh wait, Death Incarnate now has her soul stone, and oh no, now she's back for 4, and the beta is out, and I haven't played the beta, and I probably will never play the beta because I don't know, just not interested. I might play 4 in at some point, but I haven't really thought about it as of right now. I mean, I have a rough draft of excuse me, that was not supposed to be on that screen of um what's going on. Just a second here. Yeah. So I got the next wave, and right here, and I'm not. This would be what's going to be coming up after we're done with the first one. Just you can see at the bottom of the page there, or I can just bring this up too. This is what the first one. This is what we're at right now. Um, we're pretty much in this spot right here, World of Warcraft, and we'll be moving on to Borderlands 3 and then Fallout 4 and then Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 in a couple weeks or so. So there's that, or not a couple weeks, a couple months or so, because this game isn't Borderlands 3. I don't think it's going to take too long, maybe 3 weeks or four, give or take. I really haven't thought that far in advance how long that game took me to beat. I didn't think it took me long. Let me just load up Steam real quick here. 'Took me 52 hours, so that's 25 days. So that's about a month to play. Granted, I would take like maybe 2 or 3 hours off because I did the extra stuff that didn't go around with the story. So we'll say that it takes you about 4 weeks to beat Borderlands 2 on 2 hour sessions. So um, at 5 days a week. So yeah, that's probably about right. But I've never played with this character before, so I don't know. Um, Obviously, Fallout 4 is going to take a lot longer. As you can see, I've logged in quite a lot of hours, about 1,000 hours of Fallout 4. So I've played that game a lot. Um, it's just how I am. And then I haven't really done much with, Knights of the Old Republic. I only played that much, and then two, I've only played that much too. So I'm kind of looking forward to playing these two because I'll have to play them from scratch again all over. So I don't know how well this is going to turn out or how long these games are. They could take 2 weeks, it could take 3 weeks, it could take a whole month. So, but I know Fallout 4 is going to take me a while. I might play it for a month or a half or until I get tired of playing it because the game can continue on forever if you just keep doing the settlement missions over and over again back at home. When you talk to Preston Garvey, he has a tendency to, every time you show up, hey, I got a mission for you, the settlement needs some help, go see what's going on over there. Maybe you can give them a hand. It's like, I'll continue to do those. The only reason why I do those missions is because you gain levels, as well as because you use your skills and such, and as well as, and you get supplies, as well as they help me expand my settlements. And I'll be building settlements because the way that we're doing Fallout 4 is I guess I call it the charismatic genius or whatever build. I don't know. Um, Charming smart girl build, whatever it is. Um, it's basically charisma intelligence to the max level, and we run around in power armor and we just build settlements, and that's about it. It's just all charisma and intelligence. So that would be the build for that one. And to me, I like that for because we're playing on the hardest mode, except for we're not playing on survivor mode. We're just playing on, the hardest mode they have. I think it's not legendary mode. I think it's like just very hard mode or whatever it is. And because you get a lot more legendary bosses or mobs showing up, or monsters or whatever, they'll show up more frequently in the very hard mode than they do on survivor mode. It's weird, I know, but that's just how it is. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it like that. We'll just play on the very hard mode, and it's gonna be difficult. There will be some times where I get killed because I can only take so many bullets when you're when you don't have your power armor. When you get your first power armor, that's when you can start rolling around and doing stuff. And then obviously when you start scrapping more, collecting items and leveling up, I think I have a build somewhere, but I'm not too sure. Give me one brief moment. I'm going to look it up real quick. No, wait. Ah, there it is. There it is. That's what it looks like. So this is basically the build to get to the. This is what I'll be using my build calculator. It basically tells me what level I need to do to get what to get the charming smart girl build. Um, and I'll be using that as well along the stream. So level 2, you get this. Level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yada yada, all the way up to level 80, which I don't think we'll get to level 80, but it helps me, pick out what it needs to be done. We're going to be doing with the rifleman too. So we have like shotguns, sniper rifles, etc. Um, one shot guns. Uh, we're not using pistols. We're not using assault rifles or anything like that. Just basically sniping. You run around a power army, snipe people, and this is what the we'll try to do the expansions too. There's the Nuka Cola expansion as well as Far Harbor. Those two expansions were in there as well, and there's also the what's the other expansion there? My DLC. The Automatron. That's fun. And the Automatron one is basically there's rogue robots running around, and you can you can get their robots and start building your own robots, and they can assist you if you want, or they can put them to. I usually use them for supply lines because if I can't find people around to run supply lines, I just use the robots, and the robots just go around, and you can have them be your guards if you want in your base, and you can upgrade them with like machine guns and laser beams, rocket launchers. So that's what I look forward to doing the Fallout 4 game. Um, but yeah, the charming smart girl build is what I'm looking forward to playing Fallout 4. Borderlands 3, I have no idea what to do for that one because I'm playing as Flak, the nuclear pet 10 tank build. So I've never really done this before. So this will be kind of interesting to see what's going on with that one. Yeah, looking for that. But as you can see on the next wave, as I call it, we got. Now I've thought about doing, the Path of the Exile, which is really graphic game. I'm not gonna lie, it's like Diablo 3, only a little bit more customizable. I don't know if you've ever seen Path of the Exile talent tree, but it's extremely detailed. I guess I'm going to play as a shadow, which I can't remember what that one is off the top of my head. It's been a while since I booted up that game, but yeah, that's when that's gonna be a long game playthrough. I don't have, like I said, I put a complete playthrough. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do like a month worth of that game. We'll see. We'll see what happens when we get done. What it looks like when we get done with Knights of the Republic 2, and then we'll just kind of gauge how we want to play that game. And then obviously Cyberpunk 2077. Hopefully by that time they have the expansion out for Cyberpunk. I'm not sure, considering the fact that we're already in World of Warcraft, and I don't know how much longer we have of that game, and it's already March. I haven't heard an update as to when Cyberpunk 2077 expansion is going to go out. So let's look at that on Google right now. Expansion Phantom Liberty is called. That's it. That's nope. Doesn't say. There's no date. Just 2023. Um, it's going to be the only DLC. Why do you say it's the only DLC? That's it. It's not going to be any other DLC for Cyberpunk 27, which is unfortunate. But yeah, nobody's made any announcements. CD Projekt Red has not made any announcement as recently as to when it's going to come out. But it'd be great because it's apparently a spy thriller. But I'm playing in that game. Known as the Sith Lord version, or Blades and Berserker. So basically, you get a katana, you run around, and you just slice and dice people up. So it's going to be not very kid friendly episode. There's going to be a lot of swearing because the characters just swear like crazy. There's going to be a lot of violence and gore. Um, it's going to be one of those like adults only, mature episodes of the stream. It's unfortunate, but I like this game so much and I want to play it for the audience. I'm testing it out right now, And I've noticed that when you're playing it on the hardest difficulty, you die a lot and it gets really frustrating. So I don't know if I'm going to start like on a normal difficulty and move up to very hard to, or I mean, to hard to very hard as we go along as a progression kind of thing. I mean, I had that idea, started on easy mode until you get to level 10, then you go on normal mode, and then level 20, you go on hard mode, and level 30, on very hard mode. I don't know. I haven't thought that far into advance. Um, but that was the plan. And then there was talks about going back to Star Trek Online and doing the original series. Um, that would be the the original series with the old Enterprise crew. Try to play through those missions with the old Enterprise, the Constitution class vessels. Maybe play that. It's been a while since I played Star Trek Online. I know they've been trying to get more and more expansions going on, but I know they got Gates McFadden to do Dr. Crusher again, and she's in there as well. I have, like I said, but I haven't played the recent one. Then obviously getting back to Skyrim one more time, probably closer to the fall. If not, I might switch Skyrim around. If the expansion for Cyberpunk 27 has not come out by the time Path of Exile is done or close to being done, we'll probably switch Skyrim around with Cyberpunk 2077. That was so because when I play Cyberpunk 2077, V is always a female corporal. It's just how it is. I can't, it's not like I don't like the male voice, or I don't really care for the male voice. I don't mind the voice actor. I just can't stand the male voice. I like the feminine voice, or whatever you want to call it, the female voice, whatever it is. Um, I like that voice actress and how she portrays V. That's how I see V as that, the female, not the male. I don't know what it is. It's just I like it. So when I play that game, it's her running around, never am I as the as V. Now, granted, she's also going to be two-handed destruction magic in Skyrim, which is going to be awesome because you get to see. We're not going to be playing on legendary mode. We're going to be playing on hard mode or very hard mode or whatever is the second highest mode because legendary mode and sorcerers and two-handed swords people don't really add up to fun. Um, you get beaten down pretty easily. You'll be chipping away at their hit points while they just one shot you, and it is not fun at all. When we could do it, when we did it with Maka Liss with the assassin, he died a couple times, because he was weaker. But there are times that most of the time, it was hard to find him, and he would just own everything. So that was on legendary mode. This is obviously going to be on easier mode. And then obviously eventually I'll play Diablo 3 as a demon hunter, which will probably be about the time Diablo 4 comes out. I don't know. Also, there's can't spell Dragon Age apparently. Jeez. Dragon Age Origins. We'll play that one too. I need to play through that to get the Mage Warrior unlocked, which is kind of like, is cool. So you can fight as well as cast spells and everything, which is kind of like what she does right now, is just get a lightning build. And, you have to go to a certain area in the game and find this soul stone or whatever and listen to the spirit inside, and it unlocks the ability um, to become a mage warrior, but you can't use it until you start a new playthrough, which is so goofy, but that's just how it is. And then eventually we'll play Fallout 4 again, which is going to be a really tough one because this is a sneaky shooter. And that's basically you with high perception and high agility and high luck, and you just snipe people. But the problem is that when you shoot your gun once in Fallout 4, they all know where you're at and they start shooting you back. Doesn't matter how quiet your gun is. So if we're going to be playing that game, we might be playing on very hard mode, and there'll be a lot of deaths, which sucks. But it's Fallout 4. We'll just play. I'm not sure how long we'll play for that one in the next playthrough. But you can see how I'll do it on the sneaky shooter one, which is a lot more challenging than um, the charming smart girl um, playthrough. And then finally, I decided that, hey, we'll play Star Wars: The Old Republic one more time as my Sith warrior, and then one more time as in World of Warcraft as the Death Knight. As myself. So the Sith warrior will be a dual wielding Sith Lord, the Sith warrior, which is the voice actor I prefer for the Sith warriors, the male version, and then in World of Warcraft, Death Knight, because well, Death Knight is close to the Sith Lord as you can get with dual wielding swords and asphyxiation, which does look exactly like force choke. It's so cool. You just pick them up and like, oh man. So that's what we got going on for the stream schedules here in the near future. So let's get on to the main thing of the stream, which we're doing it the last 20 minutes. So Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope came out in 1977. Getting close to the in about what is it, 4 years to the 40th anniversary of it, which is like wow. Or 50th anniversary. Sorry, 50 years ago almost. We're getting close to the 50-year anniversary of this thing in 4 years, which this was made before I was born. Probably made before most of the people on this channel have seen it before born. And if you haven't seen this movie already, this is where Star Wars started. This was the first story that Lucas decided to come out with. His reasoning behind it was he wanted to start somewhere in the more interesting points in the story, and that was episode 4, 5, and 6. Because he didn't feel like episodes 1, 2, and 3 or 7, 8, and 9 were that good, in his opinion. In the Journey of the Wills, which was the original title of these movies, where was General the Willis Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. It used to be just called. A lot of people used to refer to this movie as just Star Wars. They never called it A New Hope. As you can see in the title card right underneath there, it just says Star Wars. It doesn't say anything about New Hope. And you know, so Luke Skywalker joins forces with Jedi Knight. With the Jedi Knight, a cocky pilot, a Wookiee, and two droids to save the galaxy from the Emperor's world-destroying battle station while also attempting to rescue Princess Leia from the mysterious Darth Vader. And it is probably the reason why people watch this movie. Was this whole thing was a great movie being made in the 1970s. You look at some of the models and sets on this movie, it was ahead of its time. This is what started Industrial Light and Magic too. Was this whole movie? And you got James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, obviously Harrison Ford, the late great Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, the late Alec Guinness as Ben Kenobi, who hated this movie so much. He hated these movies, which is crazy. But you talk to Ian McGregor, he loves these movies. But Alec Guinness, he always felt that was a low point in his career. He didn't like Star Wars. He didn't want to talk about. He wanted to talk about his other movies. He wanted to talk about his great movies that he did. Which, in all honesty, I don't know exactly what movies he was in that were really good besides Star Wars. And he's been off this world for what? What year was it he passed away? 2000. Wow. Okay, I guess I didn't know he was still alive in the 2000s. All right. Um, Mostly westerns and other movies that are a little bit more deep and a little bit more uh, you know bigger than what it is right now, but really than what Kenobi was. And I guess I never he played Hitler. He played Adolf Hitler. Okay, well, there you go. Okay, that's something you don't see every day. It was in Doctor Zhivago, huh? Okay, but he did a lot of movies in his time. But some of these movies, I guess I could say I've never really seen or cared to see, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, he always thought his other movies were better than the Star Wars movies, and he hated it all his life that he was known for Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, it's sad, but that's the truth of an Alex Guinness. And then obviously late Peter Cushing, who does not sound like Grand Moff Tarkin at all when you watch his the late Peter Cushing. 94. Jeez. Um, he did a lot of movies, but when you Yeah. Uh, he did. Wow, I remember seeing that movie too. The Hounds of the Baskervilles. What else? He played Sherlock Holmes. He was in Doctor Who, the uncredited Doctor Who, the non-canon Doctor Who movies. Um, Space 1999, huh? That's cool. What was it called? Let's see. Creeping Flesh. Where are they? Really, really far down? It couldn't have been that far off. Huh. I want to say it was in the 70s somewhere. It was in a time when Doctor Who was not really on screen. Oh, there it is. 65. Doctor Who and the Daleks. Yes. There's two episodes. There's the Daleks Invasion of Earth. Yep. So he played Doctor Who in both of these non-technically canon um, episodes or movies of Doctor Who, and he sounds nothing like Grand Moff Tarkin. He sounds like a nerdy dweeb. It's cool. And then there was what movie was it? That was on MST3K when they came back to Netflix. It was a 70s movie, I want to say. Oh, at the Earth's core, I think it was. Is that with Yep, that's it. At the Earth's core. Yep. Doug McClure. Yep. That movie was that movie was something else. Really bad movie. Um I'm sure MST3K riffed the heck out of that one. And then, the Anthony Daniels, Kenny Barker, late Kenny Barker, late Peter Mayhew, late David Prowse, Phil Brown as Uncle Owen, and Shagla Frazier is on Brew. And then obviously there are characters, and then Wedge, Dennis Lawson, who has been Wedge since then. And in fact, he was Wedge in if you play, oh god, that game, Star Wars Squadrons, which is, I don't like Star Wars Squadrons. He's in that game too as Wedge. And I tried playing the heck out of this game, and I literally got tired like after a while, because first you start off as Imperial, then you go to the Rebels, and then it's like Rebels, and the game is just not challenging to me at all when it comes to playing it through. I just didn't find it challenging. You can't crash. The controls are janky. Uh, it feels like a kid's game, which is disappointing for a game. If you want more of a challenge in terms of playing video games for dogfights, play Battlefront 2. That game is way harder when it comes to flying battle dogfights in space. You can crash, you can get damaged, you can do other things. It's just crazy. This game is like this game is like a flight simulator for TIE fighters and X-Wings and Y-Wings. It just doesn't feel fun. It's like baby's first flight simulator, really. But that's enough of that. So, but this is the movie that started off the Star Wars universe. And obviously it came out 3 years later was The Empire Strikes Back. And then finally in 83, 84 was Return of the Jedi. Um, if it wasn't for his wife at the time, um, what was her name? Editing. Marcia Lucas. She changed the story a lot. She put originally Yavin 4 wasn't involved in the final scene with the Death Star. It was actually just going to be the rebels take on the Death Star, and that was it. There wasn't no tension. It was just basically them going up against the Death Star. And she's like, we need some kind of tension. So she came up with the whole Yavin 4, edited the scenes to make it more intense, did some reshoots, etc. Um, did the scenes on Yavin 4, made it a little bit more of a threat. more dangerous, and that's how the movie got to be more interesting. It wasn't going to be fun without some kind of tension. And um so and more backstory, which you probably have heard the story for. David Prowse was the body of Darth Vader. He was a bodybuilder, big man. But everybody knows that James Earl Jones did the voice of um, of Darth Vader, and people and he did, and when he found out about it in the next movie, David Prowse would not say his lines proper. He would literally say goofy stuff just to one to get the actors to react, and two, obviously, just to kind of throw everybody for a curveball, which was funny as heck, considering. Um, I guess I really never watched a preview before of the trailer for Star Wars. Let's go watch that. Yeah, let's do that. I want to do this real quick. All right.
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now. 20th Century Fox and George Lucas, the man who brought you American Graffiti, now bring you an adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Here they come.
Oh man, look at that footage.
Coming in too fast.
The story of a boy, a girl, and a universe.
Wow.
It's a big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance.
Wow.
It's a spectacle, light years ahead of its time.
I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations, and this is my counterpart, R2-D2. Hello.
It's an epic of heroes. And villains. And aliens from 1,000 worlds.
Wow.
Star Wars. 1 billion years in the making. And it's coming to your galaxy.
Is it?
Summer.
Wow, that's the original explosion of the Death Star. That was actually cool. Wow, that was loud. I hate those ads. That was loud. Wow. Okay, sorry for that. Anyways, one of the things that actually kind of helped George Lucas is to agree with the Fox that he wanted all the rights, all the cash from the toys. That was it. He didn't want not too much from the movie. He just wanted all the revenue from the toys, and that was a big mistake on Fox's part, and they regretted that ever since. But this toys from the '70s Star Wars legacy made Lucas billions of dollars. I mean, people would buy this stuff up. It was crazy. He sold a lot to kids, adults alike, and fans of the movies. And it was a show. It was just a movie. And there are a lot of knockoff movies too after Star Wars came out. But his inspiration was obviously, Flash Gordon, as well as I think it was the Hidden Castle or something like that. It was an old Japanese movie. Uh, Hidden Fortress? I think it's a Hidden Fortress. The Hidden Fortress? Hidden Fortress. The Hidden Fortress, 1958. Old movie. And it is basically this what is Star Wars was based off of. Um, I guess I really never watched this movie before. I wonder where you can get it or if you can watch it somewhere. HBO Max. Oh, you can watch it on HBO Max, huh? That's interesting. That'd be kind of cool to watch that on there. It is a long movie, but it's the inspiration to Star Wars, and I guess, and that was what Lucas wanted to do was something an homage to that. So here we sit with the movie that started it all, started the fan base, started everything. In a time where this kind of stuff was done, but it wasn't done uh, well as it was in this movie. And you got to admire the fact that he spent a lot of time and money on this movie, and he didn't think it would make money. He thought that this thing would just bomb horribly. He had really thoughts and doubts that this wouldn't be so successful, and turned out to be really great. And that gave him enough time to write down Get Empire Strikes Back, which is considered, for me, in my opinion, the best Star Wars movie out of all the Star Wars movies. Because it shows the fact that sometimes the bad guys win, not always the good guys win. It's something that a lot of movies don't really do anymore these days. They let the good guys win, or if the good guys lose, it's a horror movie, which is not really fun anymore. You want a movie trilogy to be continuing on the fact that, oh, they lost this round, next round will do better. They tried hard to do that in the Last Jedi, but it really didn't pan out too well. um, and Revenge of the Sith, the bad guys did finally win that one in the third movie, and that was supposed to be, because it wouldn't be, you know, the movie if the Empire or the Sith had lost or something like that. But nowadays, you can't find movies where, or a trilogy of movies where the bad guy wins one of the matches, and the next movie the good guys finally win after some trial and error, because you don't get these long stories anymore, the continuously stories. You get episodes, I mean, you watch The Mandalorian, the bad guys win a little bit in the middle after Grogu gets captured on Tython. And, not you can't always have the happy ending. You got to do some rough stuff. You gotta do some, storytelling to make character growth. But that's on Empire. We're talking about A New Hope here. And New Hope basically Luke is the New Hope, I guess, because he's the one of the Jedi that comes back. Anakin, you don't find out until later that he's, Luke Skywalker is Anakin's son, Princess Leia is Anakin's daughter. Because if you watch it in terms of uh, canonical order, as in, from what we're doing right now from start to finish, you'll you already know Luke and Leia is the kids of Skywalker. Whereas when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, nobody knew that stuff. The whole Luke, I am your father thing just blew everybody's mind. And again, we're getting back into Empire, but um, Luke is the New Hope because Obi-Wan is Last of the Jedi's. He names drops the Clone Wars in this movie too, which at the time you go, the, the Clone Wars? The heck was the Clone Wars? And I'm thinking to myself that there was this intergalactic uh, world where they all just clone people, and clones fought each other. When reality is basically what we saw in Phantom Menace and Return of the, or not Phantom Menace, and Clone Attack of the Clones, as well as Revenge of the Sith. Those are Clone Wars in the actual Clone Wars TV show. And that, and I also mentioned in my other stream that strange enough, Han Solo is the first person to say, "This is where the fun begins." In 1977, he says that as they're escaping Tatooine, um, and he's doing the maneuvers. So if you watch that movie again, you'll get to that scene like, "Oh my God, Han Solo did say this is where the fun begins." Because I went like, "What?" I rewound that clip, and I'm like, it is him. He's the one that said that first, and then I think Hayden Christensen brought it back to, uh, or Lucas brought it back to, Revenge of the Sith, and just threw it in there, and like nobody got that. But I've always associated that line with Hayden Christensen. I didn't know that Harrison Ford dropped that line first. So crazy it is. Yeah, he just throws it in there, like, yeah, this is where the fun begins. And if you've seen, Solo story, he just kind of gets roped into this thing. And there's also, if you watch the original cut, things are a little bit different. But if you watch the newer versions on Disney Plus, which they came out in theaters in the late '90s, early 2000s, which was fun. Don't get me wrong. I like the heck that they redid them a little bit. And some of them are a little bit better. Some of them are not so much better. Like the only one I didn't really see in theaters is A New Hope. But anyways, it's a good movie. I liked it a lot. It started when I was younger though. I felt like this movie was very slow at parts, and it is a kind of slow movie at parts. There are scenes where they just don't do much of anything. There's not really much action. But that was pacing back in the day. Movies had a different pace than they do now. Movies move a little too fast for it. There's always action, action, action. There's not really long scenes where nothing happens anymore. And some people don't like that. And that's why people get frustrated with filler episodes, because they're episodes that don't really do much. But movies back in the day were a lot about filler. Go ahead and watch an old James Bond movie, like pre Pierce Brosnan, like Sean Connery or Roger Moore or Timothy Dalton or whatever. You watch those movies and you tell me how exciting they are. Not very. There are scenes where it's just like, wow, boring. But anyways, so this is the movie of movies for Star Wars fans. This is where it all began back in 1977. Coming up on the 50th anniversary in about um, what was 4 years from now, which is crazy, but there it is in all its glory. So thanks for watching the chat session tonight. We'll be back on Monday playing some more Dragonflight, and we'll be just doing that for the rest of the week. Follow me on social media at A Sith Lord Plays This. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for latest videos. Like and subscribe to the Twitch channel to watch the latest streams. And thanks for watching, all you Darths, Lords, Acolytes, and Apprentices, as well as all you Jedi Masters, Knights, and Apprentices. Until next time, may the Force serve you well.